This is Ian Hood with In the Clear window washing and pressure washing. I'm gonna go through a little video on putting the feather friendly bird dots made by 3M on some windows. As you can see behind me, did this window earlier, and we'll get a video of how to put them on, how to measure them out, and tips and tricks and everything here in a second. Stay tuned. First, we're going to wash the window really good. I'm going to get all the dirt and grease and fingerprints and dust, pollen, anything like that. You want to get it off of there. You don't want anything under the dots or they won't stick. And take your little short pieces of paper tape measure here. And we're going to measure in from the sides on each of these windows. Now I've already done one of these windows, so I know that for this size window I've got to measure these in 3/4 of an inch. So now we've got our little side tapes here. We've got our 0 mark set on the outside of the frame. Same thing here. Just set one of your full inch marks on the outside of the frame, or whatever you're measuring off of, and depending on the window you got. We're going to take our long tape measurements, and we're going to mark them in 1 inch from the edge. So our first dot will be 3/4 of an inch from the edge when we line it up on the outside of the tape. These are a little tricky because there's just about that much room in the frame to actually tape it down. We've got our 0 at the top of the frame, 1 inch in from the side, and then we come down to the bottom. We got 1 inch in from the side of the frame here, and just pull it down here until it's a little bit snug, and that way your tape's all the way straight. Make sure there's no bows in the middle of it. We've got our marks over here, so we're going to pull these little side tapes off. Just kind of set them to the side because you'll reuse those on the next window. Alright, so we've got our side tapes there, side tape there. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our strip here. We're going to take our first dot, we're going to go in behind the tape, line up our dot just on the outside of that tape underneath it. Then we'll stretch it across, come all the way to this side, and we'll line up our last dot just on the outside of this tape. It'll have just a little bit of stretch in it so that it stays nice and straight. And then we'll stick it down here and just lightly run our finger across, stick it down over there, and then we'll have our first row done. Alright, so there's our first row. See, just on the other side of that tape measure, right at the 1 inch mark. Straight across here. And we're just on the, get it straight there, just on the other side of that 1 inch mark. So I just lightly press that down with my finger. Let's keep on doing the rest of them And then once we're done with all of them, we'll pull those tapes off, and we'll actually use the little plastic squeegee tool that comes with it to press that tape down nice and snug, and then we'll pull the tape off. Dots will be on the window, birds will be able to see it, and they won't fly into the window anymore. Come down 2 inches, put your next row, tear off the excess row there, come behind the tape, make sure it's not stuck to the window anywhere in the middle. Sometimes it does. There we go. Okay, so now we have all of our dots kind of just lightly pressed on here with the backing tape on them. So now you want to just pull your tape off the sides here and kind of set them over to the side because you're going to reuse them for your other windows. You want to make sure not to rip these up or tear them because they are just paper. And then we're just going to take our little tool and we'll go back and forth across them, pressing the tape down really nice and snug, and then we'll pull the tape off and the dots will be left behind. Right. Take a little yellow plastic squeegee, just kind of run it back and forth. Just a couple of times. This tape does not like to stick unless it's above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Very, very important. I'll press down nice and tight, and you just take the little tag end here, and you just kind of go right along and pull it off. And then your dots are left behind with no backing tape. Now the birds can see the window. We'll pull the rest of them off here in a second. And there we go. You got your grid of dots on your window, spaced out every 2 inches. Now the birds can actually see the window, so when they're flying up and they see the reflection of the sky, they won't try and fly right through the window.